everybody being here, because there's nothing like hearing from your constituents. I can tell you, it really means something. And we do get a lot of calls, emails, that sort. Just a little side note while I'm thinking of that, while I'm saying it, I'm thinking, I had a bill that I thought was not going to be that controversial. It was in education, and it dealt with homeschoolers. And if you're a homeschooler, hang on, I didn't do anything wrong. But the bill came out a little bit different in committee, and I got hundreds and hundreds of emails from homeschoolers around the state. And it was not a good time. I ended up this past Friday, had a 5 o'clock Zoom call with some of them to try to explain that's not what I was trying to do, and I want to keep your identity intact. But the point of that is everybody's receptive to what's going on in the legislature. They understand it, but if they don't understand it, they're going to make themselves known. And y'all have the same thing. Y'all are in person. I represent most of everybody in this room. And so it's important that you look at what's going on, respond. You don't have to respond in a negative way like I got last week, but that's okay. But I just want to tell you that your presence means a lot. It always does. I'm also going to just tell you a few things that are going on. I don't want to take too much time, but it's been a very intense session. And in the past, we had no money, and so it was intense on who was going to get cut, okay? But when you have a lot of money, I think it's probably worse, because everybody wants to know why they cannot get their share of the money. And if they can't, they believe you're not doing your job right, because everybody else, y'all have so much money, you ought to be able to get us some too. And that becomes a major problem. We have a lot of projects in Jeff Davis and in Cameron and in Lake Charles that for various reasons, they are not going to get funded. Okay, and it's hard to say that, but when you have all the legislators, 144 legislators, all vying for their piece of the pie, it becomes brutal. Okay, and right now, everybody in the legislature is kind of Lake Charles weary. Okay, now what do I mean by that? They know we've had a hurricane. They know we've had damages. They know we've had freezes and floods and those sorts of things. But still, everything is parochial. Everything is what happens in their district. Even though they understand what happened in yours, okay, they want to fix theirs. And so New Orleans wants their money. Baton Rouge wants theirs. Everybody wants their money. And after a while, they're saying, well, Lake Charles, y'all got money last year. You're getting money for the bridge. We're tired of giving Lake Charles money. Now, that was just the mood that I sensed when I first, I sensed that mood first a few weeks back. The last 7, 8 days, I'm not trying to be negative, but the last 7, 8 days has been verbalized. Look, you only can push so hard. Everything is in my Senate Finance Committee. Oh yeah, Mark Abraham, Lake Charles, Mark Abraham, Lake Charles, Mark Abraham, Southwest Louisiana. So that just gives you a glimpse of what we're up against. And so we have to try to craft our arguments and our positions on why it's important for our area. And for example, in Cameron, we had promised that they were going to have a new ferry, right? Well, what did they do? They took the ferry out. Okay, so now we have to fight to put the ferry back in. Why would I think I would have to fight for that we had agreed on last year? Then we have in Jeff Davis, there's a new building for rice storage going up. I managed to maybe eke out a little money there, but before that it says we're not getting anything. And then, you know, I go to Suella, and we had a parking lot that was in the budget last year. And now they tell me, well, we're not going to fund the parking lot. So I'm not trying to say that we're not getting anything. I'm just giving you just glimpses of really important projects that we're not going to get, but we're still going to get some more important projects. So it's a balancing act. So just because your area doesn't receive what you need, that doesn't mean that we're not working our behinds off here in Southwest, the delegation in Southwest Louisiana, because we are. And we're going to get some stuff for the city of Lake Charles. We're going to get some stuff for the parish, but it's stressful. Now the bridge. which seems to be I'm gonna back up a minute. Just an example of a bill, when I was naming some entities, we'll talk about McNeese for a minute. Well, McNeese was promised money last year, okay? Comes in this budget, McNeese is taken out. So now we're fighting, and I believe there's a way we can get dollars for McNeese in the supplemental. And then they had a bill that said, well, when you sue someone, you ought to be able to sue them in Louisiana. The venue should be Lake Charles. Well, currently with McNeese's damages written in the contracts, it says you got to sue in New York City. So now we have damages for Laura at McNeese, and to collect the damages, in order to sue, they got to sue in New York City. Now, we had a bill that passed last week, very, very controversial, because there's a lot of other factors figured in, but we did manage to pass a bill that says that the venue, hopefully, for McNeese will be in Louisiana. So anyway, that's just some of the side things that are going on. I can get back to the bridge for a minute. Most of y'all know that a few years ago, we didn't know how we were going to get a bridge. And we formed, the Chamber Southwest formed an I-10 task force and I-10 Bridge Task Force, and they came up with this toll project. They've been working on it for, I don't know how long, George, 5, 6, 7 years. And we came up with a toll package. The only way that bridge is going to get built. And everybody seemed to be happy. Okay, we're going to get a bridge, and just as long as we get a bridge, we don't care whether it's tolled or not. That was the sentiment, and I agreed with it. Well, then you have a couple of presidents come in town, and Donald Trump comes in and says you're going to get a new bridge, and then President Biden comes in and puts that bridge as a backdrop to his ads, and on top of that, the state gets flushed with money, right? I mean, the infrastructure passed, the state has surpluses and excesses, and everybody seems to think, well, no, we don't need a toll now. We have all this money, and you as legislators ought to be able to get it. Because what's more important than a Lake Charles bridge? It's got safety issues. That's how we see it. Okay, we see it in our parochial way that this is the most important thing that you could ever imagine: the safety of a bridge, and we need to have it. Well, I-49 is in Lafayette. Lafayette people, they're tired of the congestion. They understand what happened in Lake Charles, but they want the I-49 south. That's going to be $1.5 billion. The Lake Charles Bridge is $1.5 billion. Baton Rouge, been working on their bridge. It's congested. The Baton Rouge people want a new bridge. It's going to be over $2 billion. I-49 as a connector, they want that up north. So you have all these factions of the state pulling for their district, pulling for their project. And then the Lake Charles project seems to wane a little bit. And you can put the argument about Laura and Delta. You can put the argument of safety. It doesn't, they listen, but they don't take it to heart. They see major congestion. So that's what we're up against. That's what we're faced with. So the Southwest delegation, we've kind of put our foot down and said, we do not want to toll. We think we can possibly find the money. So that's what we've been working on for the last 2 weeks. We had a bill, the Senate President's bill, that gave dollars from the vehicle sales tax. It dedicated it to 4 projects, which was the Lake Charles Bridge, the Baton Rouge Bridge, I-49 North, and I-49 South. That amount was about $28 million. Each project would get $28 million. I had an amendment on the Senate floor that removed a trigger to that bill and allowed you to get $55 million each. 55, 4 ways, okay? So I thought that was huge for Lake Charles Bridge, because that might give us the necessary funds to bond the project, right? Because we think the project's gonna cost $1.2 billion. And so we are fighting to get that $55 million that we're now going to have in that bill. Hopefully it clears the House. So that's a tranche of money we desperately need. But there's another tranche of money, which is cash. Because if the bond money, the $55 million that we'll get, like I mentioned, will bond $800 million. We're still $400 or $500 million short. Where do we get the $400 or $500 million? In the current budget, as it is now, we have about $400 million, okay? We got $100 million in 2021. We have another $300 million in the budget now. But you have Baton Rouge that did not get their $500 million, but they have $500 million just sitting on the side. The House didn't put it anywhere. So now the Senate's job is to determine, what do we do with that $500 million? How do we slice that up? Well, Baton Rouge still wants a chunk of it. So we had a meeting today with the Department of Transportation and Clay Schexnayder as the Speaker of the House and Paige Cortez and a couple of senators, and we were trying to see if we could work that bridge out by paying for it without a toll. And it's still a work in progress, but I can tell you that I hate to seem like I keep on bringing up bad news every time I say something up here, but I don't know. The verdict is still out whether we can fund that bridge without a toll. There's acquisition costs, there's other extensions of that bridge, and then you have cost of construction, which is going up hundreds of millions of dollars. So if that bridge comes in at 1.718, we don't have the money. As hard as we worked to find the $400 or $500 million that we put down, as hard as we worked to have $55 million a year to finance $800 million in bonds, that still might not be enough, okay? So, we're still gonna try. What is the alternative? What is the plan B, the last resort? Plan B would be, we would toll the bridge, okay? And then we would have money from the dollars that I just explained to you that would pay the toll for the residents of Southwest Louisiana, 5 parishes. So that is a fallback that we have 90,000 cars a day that go over that bridge. And the toll would be for them, but for the residents, because you go back and forth, maybe you would not have a toll, okay? So to me, is still a win for Southwest Louisiana. You have a toll, but the residents don't pay it. So that's all the works in progress that are going on that bridge. I know it's important to everybody here, but I can tell you for sure that we are working night and day on trying to solve this bridge problem. And we're dealing with other factions of the state, like I told you. I was with the governor last night, and he asked me about the teacher pay raise, if I was going to support it. And I said, well, Governor, I said, maybe we can switch. You support my bridge, I can support the teacher pay raise. He didn't think the numbers were exactly equal on that. So, but anyway, that's really about it. I just want to kind of tell you a little flavor of what's going on, how we're pushing for the bridge, and we'll see what happens on the outcome of that.
All right.
Thank you.